Hey, what's up everybody? It's Pat Flynn from smartpassiveincome.com and welcome to Niche Site Duel 2.0, video number 1. This is keyword research and SEO competition analysis. Let's get right to it. Keyword research, SEO analysis, and all the other criteria we're going to talk about today. I mean, this is the most important part of this entire process because everything we do from this point forward, from selecting the URL, from determining what content to publish and who to reach out to, it's all based on the niche that we select to get into. So the goal here is to find a keyword that meets a specific set of criteria that gives us the okay that we could build a website for it, meaning that we know we have a good chance of ranking high in Google, getting traffic coming to the site, and earning an income from it. Now, the approach that I want you to take is, from this point forward, and I really want you to think about this, is that as we select our keyword and as we start to determine what niche we're going to get into, that we are going into it knowing that we are going to build a website that is going to become an incredibly valuable resource that serves that particular market. We are going into it building the ultimate resource for that niche. So I have a specific set of criteria that I'm going to follow for this. You can choose to follow this if you want, or you can create one of your own. It's up to you, but this is what I'm going for. The first thing is I'm shooting for a keyword that gets at least 3,000 local exact match searches per month in Google. Again, that's the bare minimum. I would love to shoot for something higher, but that's bare minimum, something that's going to get me a decent amount of traffic per month if I were to rank number 1. Now, there's a lot of other factors involved, such as the following. I also want relatively low competition in Google. This means that there seems to be room in the top 10 spots on the first page of Google, and I'm going to go into that when I actually do the demonstrations for you later in this video. All right, number 3, does it pass the grandma test? Meaning, if I were to become incredibly famous for having the number 1 website in this particular niche that I get into, whatever it ends up being, would my grandma be proud of me, or would she kind of be embarrassed? Or should I even tell her? You know, if she'd be proud of me, then it might be something I might get into. Number 4, what is the earning potential? This is something a lot of people miss. You know, they find a keyword that meets all the criteria, but it's not going to make them a lot of money. We want to make some money, of course, and there's some tests you can run to make sure that that's going to happen. All right, number 5, the 50 post test. Is this a particular niche I can get into and imagine myself writing 50 posts for? If it seems like it would be a drag or it would be hard to come up with 50 posts, then I might think of something else. What the 50 post test does is it shows me that there's a lot of content here, which allows me to potentially get a lot of traffic from long tail keywords in that particular niche. Number 6, can I imagine myself writing, or is it even possible to create a beastly resource for this particular niche, a really in-depth, high-quality post that I can use to sort of get buzz for my niche and get eyeballs on my brand? And lastly, can I actually help people in this particular niche? Maybe it's not through my skill or experience, although that would obviously help. Maybe it's through research and curation of content to meet and fill a specific need that people have in that particular niche. All right, so to help you understand how keyword research works, I want you to think about it like you're panning for gold. You know, the big nuggets are already taken. People found them already, but there is gold that lies within. You just got to put in the work. You got to sift through all that dirt, all the pebble, and all the rock, and do the work. And that's what the keyword research tools are for. And there are free tools and paid tools, which I'm going to show you later. But there's a big key thing you have to realize. The more dirt you get through, the more chances you have of finding these golden keywords. This isn't a pan for gold. This is just a bowl with ridges that sort of look like it, but not really. Now, if this is your first time doing keyword research, you have to sign up for a few things first before you can start using these tools. And the first one you want to sign up for is for Google AdWords. That's adwords.google.com. Now, why do you need to sign up for Google AdWords? Well, this gives you access to the Google AdWords keyword research tool. You can use it without signing up, but then you got to fill out a CAPTCHA form like every time you use it, and you can only get up to 100 related keywords for every seed keyword that you put in. Make sure you sign up because you can get up to 800 related keywords, and you can skip the CAPTCHA process when you're signed in. And even if you're using some keyword research software like Longtail Pro or Market Samurai or some other ones, you still want to sign up for Google AdWords because that software will most likely prompt you for it to get those 800 related to keywords, since that software uses the data from Google AdWords keyword research tool. So make sure you sign up for Google AdWords. Okay, the next thing you want to do is head on over to SEOmoz.org, SEOmoz.org. A free account there will work, or they have an upgrade to a pro account if you want in the future, just to keep in mind. And what this does is it will give you access to things like Open Site Explorer, so you can check the backlinks for your site and competitor sites too. And also, you'll get to see the Moz rank for each of the competitors' sites, which is an indication similar to Google PageRank that will tell you how authoritative a site is. And many say it's even better and more accurate than Google PageRank. Okay, and lastly, head on over to SEMrush.com, SEMrush.com. This is a great site. It'll give you some good, free, quick analytical data for specific keywords that you might be interested in, and also competitors' websites. Okay, so I'm going to do keyword research right here for you right now, first using free tools. And this is going to show you exactly how all of this works. And it's important, even if you're using paid software, that you watch and understand, because you don't want to use those tools and trust them without knowing exactly what's happening. So the first step always is to find a seed keyword or seed keywords. And this is what you enter into the Google AdWords keyword tool or some of your paid software. And when you submit that word, you get up to 800 other related keywords that will show the data along with them, such as search volume, average cost per click, and things like that. So the question is, where do you get your seed keywords? I'm not going to go over that right here, right now, but I am going to link to another video on how to do that if you're having trouble. It's called 7 Methods to Help You Dig Deeper with Keyword Research, and I'll embed that here on the YouTube video, and I'll put it in the description as well. Or if you're watching this on the blog right now, I'll put a link to it right below this video. So to start, I'm going to find some seed keywords, and there's a number of different ways to do this, like I said. One of the things I like to do is sort of to try and discover trends and put those words into here and see what I get. And Google has a tool called Google Trends, which is fairly good for finding trends, although a lot of the keywords that are shown there, a lot of the trending keywords are celebrity related or current event or news related, which are hard to build websites for. I like to go to a site called Indeed.com. This is a job search site, and they actually have a link here at the bottom for trends. And it's going to show you sort of the latest trends in job search, which is really interesting. And so you can see here the top job trend is HTML5 and a lot of other software related things. I like to click on industry employment trends here on the left hand side. It's going to show me by sector sort of what is going on. And this is, as you can see, hospitality here is up 25% from last year, which is interesting. So I'm going to click on that. And here is where you can find some really good seed keywords. If you go scroll down a little and you find top job titles, I mean, look at these here: housekeeper, custodian, front desk clerk, bartender, server, cook. These are words that are definitely going to be too hard to rank for, but they're perfect seed keywords because those tools are going to show us related keywords to these that might have some potential to build a website for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these and just plop them right now into Google AdWords. So I'm going to use housekeeper, what was another one? Bartender, cook, was janitor, and you can put several seed keywords there, but I'm just going to use those for now. Next, I'm going to create some filters, and what this does is it sort of gets rid of the keywords that don't meet my criteria already. Now, I had mentioned earlier in the video, I want local monthly searches greater than 3,000. Now, you're also going to find a lot of keywords here that are going to show you, hundreds of thousands of local searches. Those are typically going to be too competitive as well. So I'm going to put local monthly searches less than, 6 figures, so 100,000. I also want the last one. I want approximate CPC or cost per click. That's how much advertisers are paying every time someone clicks on an ad, not how much you make every time someone clicks on an ad. I want that to be at least above $1. That's going to show me that there's some sort of money flowing in that particular niche. So the last thing and the most important thing to do before you hit the search button, again, the most important thing on the left-hand side here, it says match types. You want to set it to exact. If you set it to broad, it's going to show you numbers that are way too big and skewed and aren't true to exactly what's going on. So you want to make sure you have it on exact match, or else you're going to get screwed up. And from there, you can click on search, and a number of keyword ideas are going to show up underneath. There's 2 columns here, actually. They're beta testing this thing called ad group ideas, which takes that group of keywords and puts them into different sort of categories, which is actually pretty interesting. Or you can get the traditional sort of long list here of exact match searches related to the keywords that you put in. And you can see a lot of data here. So I'm just going to stay on this page right here. This is the keyword here on the left-hand side. The next column is called competition. Do not confuse this with SEO or search engine optimization competition. This is advertiser competition. So this is how competitive it is to bid for these particular keywords. This is just between advertisers, so don't be confused. And actually, high is actually a better, high is better than low, because that means there's different advertisers competing. Next is global monthly searches, then local monthly searches. Again, we wanted this above 3,000, and there's plenty here above 3,000. And then approximate CPC, or cost per click. And all of these are above $1 because we set that filter. Now at this point, what you want to do is, if you're doing this the free method, you want to take each of these keywords one by one and explore them. You want to see, they've meet the criteria so far. They've met our search volume criteria. Now we have to see if they meet some of the other criteria. And you can immediately do the ones that we talked about earlier, such as the grandma test, or whether you feel like you can write 50 posts for that particular niche. I mean, I don't know if I could write 50 posts on janitorial supplies, or I might not be interested in that, or maybe my grandma wouldn't approve. So I wouldn't even need to do research on that one. But if there are ones here that I might be interested in, I want to explore those further. So bartender game, that sounds kind of interesting. So I can do some research on that right now. And one of the first things to do after you've met this criteria and you want to search further is just to simply type the keyword into Google and see what pops up and see if anything sort of stands out at you right away. So I'm going to put bartender game and see what comes up. And right now, immediately, I can see that there are no ads here. Typically, there would be ads here on the top of the search results page and also on the right-hand side. The fact that there are none is sort of a red flag that this may not be a good money keyword. It may be something that is not that competitive, but also you want to make sure that there's a potential to earn an income. Now, it's not just the fact that there's no ads here doesn't mean that you shouldn't dig deeper to see if there's any sort of money involved. You want to see if there are any products or affiliate programs that you could potentially be associated with before you just immediately scratch this. So that's what we're going to do here, since that's the sort of first thing that stood out at me right away. And to check the earnings potential, some other tests that you can run is you can put quotations around your keyword if it's more than 2 words, or if it's more than 1 word, or if it's at least 2 words, and then type in a money-related keyword or transaction-related keyword, for instance, price. So I have bartender game, price. And what this does is it shows me sort of what products are out there that are being sold related to this particular keyword. And I could see a few things like an iPhone app game. This one seems to be an Android app game. And here's something on Amazon. It's called the bartender game. It's a toy of some kind, maybe a board game. There isn't really that many things that are very attractive to me right off the bat. And a couple other words you can put in are affiliate, to see if there's any affiliate programs that you could potentially join. Look through the descriptions and look for bolded keywords that say affiliate in there. I see one here under Amazon.com for that same bartender toy or game or whatever it is. And yes, you can sign up for Amazon and become an affiliate through their Amazon Associates program and potentially sell this, whatever it may be. But is that something you want to is that something you want to potentially sell on your website? Is that something you're going to be happy with? Can you imagine yourself doing that or writing a number of articles about that? For me, I would say no, but there's a few more things I want to do with bartender game really quick before I move on and try another keyword and then start to use some of these tools. But again, immediately I would just move on to the next one at this point. It doesn't seem to be a money keyword is the thing, and also it just doesn't seem that attractive. So I'm going to type in bartender game again and show you some other things that you should look out for. When you type in a keyword in Google, the keywords that you typed in are bolded. So those are things to look out for. If you look and see sort of how often people are using bartender game in the description and also in the title, that's a good indicator whether or not it's going to be very competitive. If not very many people are using those keywords in the title and also the domain and also the description, then that's a good sign, because you can sort of take advantage of the fact that they're not usually utilizing on-page SEO. Now, other things you want to pay attention to are just what kind of brands are here. What are they selling or what are they doing? A lot of these seem to be free online games or flash games. And again, this is something, you would have to create something better than what's already here in order to get to the top 10. So you'd have to create some sort of, it seems like some great resource about bartender games. And again, that's just a sign that this isn't something that I would really want to get into. So I'm actually going to move on to another keyword, go back to Google AdWords here, and see if we can find anything interesting Here's one, bartending school. This one stands out to me because anything that deals with school or education or studying or things like that, I know from experience that people are willing to pay money for information and are looking really hard for good information about that type of stuff. So bartending school seems pretty interesting. It has a rather large number of exact local searches, and also decent 2.14 as far as the cost per click. So this is something that we're going to look into and see what we can deduce from typing this into Google and using some of these other tools. So the first thing I'm going to do is just type it into Google, bartending school, and good sign that there are at least a couple of ads up here. But one thing that does stand out to me, and this is something that you may run into when you start to do keyword research, especially for schools and things like that, and anything that may have a physical location, is you're going to get this big bulk of local sort of search results here. So these are all San Diego related bartending schools, for example. So this just shows me that in order to get any sort of traction in this particular niche, I mean, you would need to get in the top 2 spots in order to make anything happen. I mean, once you start to go down here, it starts to become a lot less traffic and volume for you if you were to get on this first page. So that's just something to think about. Now, for security guard training, which was my previous niche site that I did in Niche Site Duel 1.0, I actually got to number 1, and there are local searches for security guard training facilities. So it is possible, but the trick is to find that keyword that has enough room within the top 2 spots, or hopefully the top spot, to have a new site come in there, which is the one that you want to build. So what we're going to do now is run some analysis on this. I mean, a couple things really quick. I just want to make sure that there's good potential money in here in this particular keyword, and I know there is because it's a school type of education thing that people have to pay for. But one test you can run is this sort of test that we ran before. I'm just going to type in, I'm going to put the keyword into quotations and type price next to it. And then right here, I'll immediately see, cost of bartending school, how bartender school tuition and things like that. So this just shows me that there is money involved here, and I could potentially contact these companies. And this isn't something that's necessarily cheap either. I can see where right here it says, obviously this is outdated, but it says a cheap bartending school may cost $250 to $500 for a 2-week course. So you could potentially hook up with a company or companies out there and, for example, get some lead gen commission from something like this. But anyway, what I want to do now is take the keyword bartending school and put it into a number of these tools so we can sort of analyze the top spots in Google. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to semrush.com and type in the domain there, or actually the keyword, and hit search. And what this does is going to show me a number of different things related to this keyword stuff. Some of the stuff we know already, like here in the keyword summary, it's going to show us the cost per click and the exact volume, local search volume, and things like that. It's going to show us a really cool graph as far as the trend. If you notice the trend going like way down, that might be a red flag and something for you to explore further. What's really useful here on SEMrush is this phrase match report. These are great sort of secondary and tertiary keywords in addition to bartending school that you could potentially write posts about, or they could be potential new seed keywords to go dig deeper, and they should at least be things you should be paying attention to, potential keywords that you can rank for in the future if you were to get into this niche. And what's really important down here is the organic results. This just neatly shows us the top 10 spots, or actually top 20 spots in Google. And what you can do here is you can click on this little window here to open up these pages and sort of see what these websites are all about. And so this seems to be one of the top ranking sites here for bartending school, ABC bartending schools. So if I go back to SEMrush, that's one that we're going to have to try to outrank. So we want to do some analysis on it. So I'm going to copy that URL, and I'm going to put it first into a tool called Open Site Explorer. This is going to show me things such as the domain authority, the page authority, and the number of backlinks and some information about the backlinks that are pointing to the site, which are all things that Google uses to determine the authority of a site. So I'm going to hit search, and I can see here that the domain authority isn't that important. It's mostly the page authority that's important. But you can see here that this seems to be like a site that may potentially be outrankable. The page authority is only 23, which is good. Anything in the 20s or below is a good sign. And there's only 51 links, it seems, to this particular site. And if you're signed in to Open Site Explorer, you can kind of get information about these different links. And the more page authority that the links pointing to this particular page has, the more you have to worry about. But it doesn't seem to be anything too drastic. It only shows you a certain number because you could sign up to get unlimited amounts of information from signing up for SEO Moz Pro, but this is good enough for now. You can see some of the anchor text that's being used and things like that. There's only a total of 51 links. Now, what you want to do is you want to do this for each of those sites that are here on the top 10, because you want to be on the top 10 in Google. So I'm going to put New York Bartending School into Open Site Explorer 2. So the first one was page authority of 23. This one has a domain authority of 34, but a page authority of 45. And yes, it's totally normal to see page authorities higher than a domain authority. And this is actually, it just shows you that you can't just look at the top result. You got to look further, and sometimes there are anomalies. I'm not exactly sure why ABC Bartending School or whatever the domain was is ranking higher, but you got to take the entire top 10 in whole and analyze each of those things. And here you can see there are a total of 2,077 links. And there are, the page authority is 45, which is relatively high. This would be, just from that, you can tell that it's going to be a particularly tough site to outrank. And you can see a lot of the anchor text being used, New York Bartending School. So it seems like they're primarily ranking for New York Bartending School, but they are also ranking second for just bartending school. Let's do the third one, which is bartending. Actually, this is a good sign here. When you start to see exact match domains or ones that are really close that have the keywords in there, such as this one, bartending-school.com, this is a site that was built knowing that it was going to target that particular keyword. So running an analysis on this is a good idea, because if you can just do better than what this site is doing, or any of these sites really, but it's nice to know what's going on with these exact match domains. If you could do better than these, then you know that you're going to eventually outrank them, especially if the content is valuable and you start to get some juicier, more powerful links. So I'm going to open this one up just to sort of see what it looks like. And it seems like it's a domain for a bartending school in Virginia, which is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into Open Site Explorer as well, hit search. And I can see here that just like the last one, the page authority is 55, which is high. Total links is 977. You can see the page authority for a lot of these sites that are linking to this are really high, 73, 65, 64. Scrolling down, I can see, some of the stuff here, local SEO blocking and tackling. I mean, what does that have to do with bartending? Well, it seems like somebody who knows what they're doing with SEO is talking about this and also using the resources that they have to bump up the rankings of their website. So this person actually, hired somebody or is somebody who knows SEO and is using, is link building to increase the authority of this site. And so this one currently ranks, I think, number 4. You can go down the list here. Another good helpful thing that you can use is, you can put all these URLs, grab each of them, copy paste them into a neat little sort of text file like this. And then you can use a tool that I found here. If you go to SEOranksmart.com, they have a number of different free SEO tools that you can use. So one of them is the bulk Google Page Rank Checker. So what I can do is just simply paste all of those URLs here, type in the code FD1B5, hit submit, and it's going to quickly tell me the page rank of each of those sites. So if I scroll, so here I can see immediately that the page rank is 44333 Now this is the Google page rank, which is a scale from 0 to 10, I believe, either 9 or 10. And once you start to see a lot of 3s and 4s and 5s in the top 10, that's something that shows you that it's going to be, particularly difficult to put yourself onto this list of 10 here. When I did Niche Site Duel 1.0, I used a tool called Market Samurai, which showed the PR. And I had said that you want the average PR of the top 10 in Google to be around 2.2. So this is obviously higher than 2.2, although I will say that Google PageRank isn't considered quite as important when it comes to SEO competition. It's still something we should definitely look at, but there are other factors out there like Moz Rank and things that I'm going to show you and some of the other tools that I'm going to share with you later. But this is just still good to keep in mind, and this just shows me that these sites are potentially ones that could be difficult to outrank. Okay, like I said, one of the factors involved in discovering if a keyword is competitive or not is to look at the Moz rank of these sites here. So we're gonna go explore a tool, moonzy.com/mozrank. And so if I were to take one of those URLs and just paste it in here, again, that's moonsy, moonsy.com/mozrank. If If I were to put one of those URLs here and check it, I'll immediately get the Moz rank, which is a scale from, I think, 1 to 9, but it does it on the hundredths. So it's like 1 point whatever. See, this one is 3.47. Here are a couple other ones, just so you know. Google is 8.82. My site, smartpassiveincome.com, is 6.11. Let's put in that bartending-school.com one to see what the Moz rank for that is. Check, and that one's 5.32. Okay, so I fast forwarded in time a little bit, and what I did was I took each of these URLs here that I had from the top 10 in Google for bartending school, and I put them into this tool on Moonzy, just so I could see the Moz rank all next to each other. It's nice how it just sort of keeps track of the history of the sites that you searched for. And not looking at the one for Google and the one for my site, you can see the sites here: 3.47, 5.32, 4.5, 4, 3.5, 5, 4.5, 3.5, 4. I can tell that this is going to be a relatively hard niche to get into. You're looking for something that's a little bit less competitive, and this is a good indication that this is pretty competitive. Something between 2 and 4, if that's going to be the average. Again, maybe 2.5 would be a good number to shoot for. Possibly 3, depends on the search volume and the CPC and how ambitious you are. But here, this is going to be rather difficult. And I like looking at the Moz rank, especially all next to each other like this, because I can get a feel for all the top 10 in Google at the same time. I like it better than PageRank because PageRank doesn't update quite as often, and this is more accurate. Moz rank is a bit more accurate. So I want to show this to you here. Now, there's obviously a lot of other factors involved, like the backlinks pointing to each of these sites, which is why we use Open Site Explorer, and also the domain and page authority. But I want to show you now what it's like to use these paid tools to run this search, because right now it's pretty clunky. We're using all these different tools: Google AdWords Keyword Tool, Open Site Explorer, SEMrush, Moonzy, and all these other ones. And it's pretty clunky, right? And remember what I said earlier: the more dirt you get through, the more possibility that is that you're going to eventually come across those golden keywords. So that's what these paid keyword tools are really good at. You don't need them. You don't absolutely need them. If you're strapped for cash and you have to sort of bootstrap your keyword research, this is a great way to do it. But I'm going to show you really quick that it might actually be worth it, if you're serious about this, to invest in one of those tools. I use 2. I initially started using Market Samurai, but I've been more recently using Longtail Pro for a couple of reasons. One, it's a lot easier to teach with because it's just simpler to use and a lot of less advanced features as Market Samurai. But I also love it because it shows a lot of the more updated sort of rankings like Moz rank and domain authority and page authority, which Market Samurai doesn't show. So let's go into Longtail Pro right now, and I'll show you how that looks like and how we can run keyword research much faster, and hopefully we can land on some potential keywords. All right, what's up? We are in Longtail Pro right now, and actually you're looking at Longtail Platinum. It's sort of the premium version of Longtail Pro, which costs an additional monthly fee. Not necessary, actually. I've had the Pro version for so long now, and I've successfully used it to find keywords. You may find that you may not need it, although I will share what some of the Platinum features are at the end of this video to see if it might be something helpful to you. It just makes the keyword research process even faster, but I think you'll see as I go through this as if it were Longtail Pro, just how much faster this is than doing it sort of manually. So what I'm going to do is actually going to create my first campaign, and I'm going to use the same seed keywords that we used when we ran the Google AdWords keyword tool at the very beginning. So what I'm going to do is hit create your first campaign. I'm going to name this NSD 2.0 Wave 1. And the language will be English. The country is United States. Now, if you are building a website in another country and you want to target the sort of search volume for that particular country, maybe you're building a website specifically for something in that country, you can select a different country here, and that's what I would recommend. But moving on, show results for, I never click this. If you click this, you're only going to show ideas really closely related to the seed keywords you put in. I like to sort of have things be broad and be able to see other keywords that I may not have even thought of before as a result of leaving this unchecked. And then as far as devices, desktop and laptop devices is probably the best route. So I'm going to click Create Campaign. And conveniently up here it says Add Seed Keywords. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I think before we had housekeeper, we had bartender, we had cook, and we also had janitor. I think those were the 4 that we picked up. And I'm going to add those. Now, if you wanted to delete these and add more, you can. You can just click on the X here or add more here. Now, you want to do a maximum of 5 here, because if you do too many at a time, it's going to overload Google AdWords, and Google AdWords may sort of kick you out a little bit, just temporarily because you're overusing their system. Now, one thing to make sure, you want to make sure you're logged into Google AdWords. If you're not, just click on this button here. It'll say log in. That'll give you access to all the features that logging into Google AdWords will give you, which is where Longtail Pro and also Market Samurai, that's where they all get their data from, is Google AdWords. So make sure you're logged into Google AdWords. Now, before I move on, I want to make sure that I'm on exact match. Do not use broad and phrase. There's debate about whether to use phrase or not. Just make it clear. Just use exact. Now, down here, you can enter your own keywords if you want. If you want specific data for exact keywords that you're going to put in, and not necessarily using it as a seed keyword, but just the keywords that you want to put in. Maybe you found a list of keywords somewhere. You just want to get the data for those keywords. You can put that in here, but I don't have any of that right now, so I'm not going to put it in. That's just optional. Under fetch additional data, you can get things like the domain ability, whether there's a .com, .net, or .org available for those specific URLs or keywords. And I'm not going to click that. It takes a long time to get all that data. Google titled competition and big title competition, I never click. But I do go to apply filters, and I apply the filters beforehand so that I can just not even look at the keywords that aren't matching my criteria. So for example, I'm going to click on average local searches. Just like we did with Google AdWords keyword tool, I'm going to go from 3,000 to 100,000. And average CPC, I want it to be above $1. And that's it. So from there, what I'm going to do is click on generate keywords. And what that's going to do is it's going to find all the related keywords for all these seed keywords that we put in here and apply these filters. And it's going to show us the results. So I'm going to click on this. And it's going to take a while. As you can see, it's going through housekeeper right now. And then it's going to go through the other ones that we did. And so what I'm going to do is actually just fast forward over time, just so we can look at the data right away. All right, so here are the results. It took about 2.5, 3 minutes to get all this. And as you can see on the bottom here, it says 3,027 keywords have been filtered out. I mean, that's crazy. And what's left over are 94 keywords that meet our search volume criteria. Now, Google AdWords keyword tool showed us the same stuff. But what's really cool is when we start to run SEO competition analysis, which you can simply do by clicking on each of these keywords. So I'm actually going to scroll down to one here that we're quite familiar with already, which is bartending school. The numbers match what we had in Google AdWords keyword tool, and I'm going to click on that. And what happens is it runs a competition analysis by showing us the top 10 in Google, the title of each of those pages, and also all the data that we need to know for each of them, including the page authority, which is just how authoritative that page link is. Remember, we got that through Open Site Explorer before. Page links and juice page links. Page links are the number of links pointing to that particular site, and juice page links are more sort of authoritative sites that are pointing to that particular page. Then there's domain authority, which isn't quite as important. Then the all familiar Moz Rank, which we had before. Then also page rank and the site age. Site age isn't quite as important either. If you want more information about each of these, you can just hover over it for some basic information. But as you can see here, and don't look at KC for now, that's keyword competitiveness, and that's a handy number that Spencer's created for the platinum version. You don't need that. I wasn't using that before, although it is sort of helpful. Page authority, you can see there's the top two are 54 and 45 and 38. Those are quite high. You'll see a couple 27s and 28s, which are reachable. But remember, we had typed this into Google, and you should do that. Even if you're using paid keyword tools, you should type these keywords into Google to see what comes up, to see what ads come up, to also see what the local search results are going to be like. And remember, we wanted to maybe get in one of the top 2 spots, and it looks like the top 2 spots here are really competitive. I mean, the page authority is quite high. It's in the mid-50s. Again, we want 20 to 30 would be even better. Page links, anything over 100 or 200 is going to be something worth putting up a red flag for. I mean, 889 page links here, 2,077. You can actually click on each of these to open Site Explorer to get information about each of the links pointing to each of these sites. Juice page links are the more authoritative sites that are linking how many links from authoritative pages are coming over. Domain authority, not quite as important, but as you can see here, Moz Rank is quite high, like we had mentioned before, 5, 5.5, 5, 3.5, 4.2, 4.0. It's quite high. So looking at this, I would immediately just go back to my keyword research tool and click on the next one. And we've done this one already. There's bartender game. As you can see here, page authority 50, 44. It looks a little bit better here on the lower half of the top 10 in Google. Not very many page links, not very many juice page links. The page authority is quite low. But again, is this something that we really want to rank for? A bartender game, most of which are free. How would you make money from it? We did the research on that already, and there was a board game on Amazon that we could sell, and that's it. So I would move on. Again, there's a lot of things beyond just what you get in all these tools. Again, I would type each of these keywords into Google just to get a feel for what's going on. So it's really easy to do this. Just click on each one of these and sort of try to make an educated guess based on the numbers here. Look at this one. This one is drink recipes. And when you think about that, that's definitely going to be one that a lot of people are already building sites about. So the top site here is a page authority of 72. 72, 65, 72. I mean, look at the page links going to these sites. They're in the tens of thousands. This one here is 6 figures. I mean, that's crazy. The Moz rank is quite high. It's in the high 6s, high 5s. There are sprinkles, and you can see anomalies every once in a while. A lot of times these are for really high authoritative sites like Wikipedia. This one's for Google Play. Sometimes when you see 1 for page authority and then 100 for domain authority, it just hasn't registered yet. It's just there because Google ranks those sites really high because of the domain authority. That's why Wikipedia is always ranked higher than a lot of other sites. So let's just keep going. Keyword research, boom, mixed drinks. How's mixed drinks look? I can already tell. I mean, this is very competitive. I mean, it's even more competitive than those first ones for bartending school and bartending game that we looked at. Boom, next one. Drinks, cocktails. I'm not even going to look at those. I'm going to delete those because I know that those are competitive already. Drink mixer, UPC code. Let's try barcode generator. A little bit better. Nothing in the 70s, but as you can see, page links are definitely in the thousands here. Again, we want something that is, under 200 in most of them. And once you start to see something that is a little bit less competitive, yeah, you can actually go into each of these sites, check them out, and see what you can do to outrank them. Go into their backlinks, see where their backlinks are coming from, and see if you can get better backlink coming to your own site when you create your site. So that one didn't work. Alcoholic drinks, I'm not even going to look at here. DJ software. Again, high authoritative sites. So I'm not even going to move on. Cooking classes. I'm imagining this one's pretty high as well. 68, 45. Look at the page links coming to this site. And again, a lot of these sites are probably paying a lot of money to get all these backlinks and rank really high. And again, it's going to take a long time. This is what keyword research is all about. We're just digging through the dirt right now. And it just takes a long time. So don't get discouraged. And actually, you'll find that a lot of you will probably get addicted to this, especially using these tools. You're going to just randomly think of things to put in as seed keywords. And again, we just put 4 in, but we have 94 keywords to go through. And just imagine doing all this by hand or manually going through each of those SEO competition analysis things. How about this? Easy recipe for kids. Here we go. This is obviously a little bit less than those other ones that we were just looking at. 46 is the top site, but it's still pretty competitive. I mean, if you look at some of the lower ones on here, there's a lot of page links. Now, these page links are probably page links coming from less authoritative sites. That's why there's a 20,000 here on number 10 and then 74 on the top. But, there's a lot of anomalies and, there's a lot of factors involved. But, you'll see when there's a keyword that seems to be open that there might be some room for you there. You'll see it. It's going to look much different than all the other ones. And they're out there. You just have to keep digging deeper. Cooking games for kids. Now this one looks a little more promising. The page links scare me a little bit. The page authorities are a lot cleaner. And I guess now is a good time more than ever to start talking about this platinum feature, which is called keyword competitiveness. And this is a handy tool, an algorithm that Spencer has created in this tool to give you a quick snapshot of the competitiveness, the overall competitiveness based on just all this whole grid here on how this keyword is. And, a lot of those other ones that we looked at earlier, like if you were to look at something really competitive like how to cook, I mean, you can imagine that being very competitive. I mean, look at the page authorities in the 70s here, even in mid first page. So the keyword competitive is going to show up here after it calculates all this. That's 57. Now, anything under 30 or around 30 is pretty good. So what was that other one we did? It was cooking games for kids. This one had, I think it was 30. So 30 is a lot easier than 57. And what's cool here is if you wanted to, if you're going to use KC or keyword competitiveness as a way to determine whether that's a potential keyword you should explore even further, you can actually go through each of these really quickly by just clicking here on calculate the average KC.
and it'll take like 5 seconds or so, and I usually click 5 at a time. I don't want to do too many and overload the system. But what it's going to do is going to go into that competitor analysis thing for you and find the keyword competitiveness number. So here we go, 58, 46. House cleaning is 39, which is a little bit less competitive. So as you can see here, the least competitive out of these 5 is house cleaning, but there are more local searches than for house cleaning services. So house cleaning would definitely be a better keyword to go for than house cleaning services, interestingly enough. But again, this is in the high 30s. I would shoot for something under 30 if possible, maybe mid 30s if you're ambitious. And yeah, this is just what I would do. So let's do this again. Let's create a new campaign just to see if we can find something. And I'm going to run through this until I find a good one to show you just what it looks like. So I'm just going to add a new campaign. So NSD 2.0 Wave 2, and keep all that the same. Create campaign. I'm going to go to campaign settings and type in some seed keywords. And actually, I'm just going to start with one that I know has some interesting data for, because I want to speed things up a bit. So I'm going to put in wedding rings here, and I'm going to put in exact and apply the same filters that we had before, 3,000 and 100,000 max for local searches, average CPC of 1.00 or $1. Click generate keywords. It's going to fetch that data for wedding rings. And again, you want to put in 5 seed keywords so you can get the maximum number of keywords and related terms in there as possible, so you can pick up more dirt and find those keywords. But I'm just doing this for the purposes of speeding things up a bit, because there is some interesting data here that I want to show you. Whether you have Longtail Platinum or Pro, this is you're going to start to discover why some things are more competitive than others. Okay, so here were the results, and if you're using the Platinum version, a quick thing to do is, even as these are generating, you can just click on the average KC calculate here to get that number and see if any of them stand out or are relatively low. Again, 30 or below is something to pay attention to for the purposes of the niche site duel here. And the reason it doesn't calculate them all at once for you is because it takes a little bit of work for the system to do, and I think Spencer just didn't want to have things overload. And so I'm just going to calculate the rest of these really quick, and you start to see some stand out here. I mean, there's some in the 40s and mid 30s, which are going to be, somewhat competitive. And there are some down here like this one for vintage wedding rings, which is 26, which is definitely the lowest one we've seen in a while. And I want to explore that really quick. So I'm going to click on vintage wedding rings. And, a lot of my friends are getting married, both male and female right now. I know the whole vintage wedding thing is huge right now. So this could be a good potential keyword to get into, but we want to explore it a little bit more. Now, the average keyword competitiveness is 26. Now, you might not know that if you don't have the Pro version, but there's certain things I want to show you that kind of show you why this is less competitive than some of the other ones. And it's because, first of all, look at the URL and title here. What Longtail Pro or Platinum does is it bolds, just like Google does, it bolds the actual keywords in the URL and title. And by looking at this, you don't actually see very many sites here in the top 10, or any of them actually targeting specifically vintage wedding rings. So they're not paying attention or utilizing on-page SEO very well, and that's something that you could do and take advantage of in this particular niche if you wanted to get into it. Now, looking at the page authority, it does look a bit high, especially up here at the top, 53, 54, 46. Again, we were shooting for under 30, and there was some of that here in the sort of mid-range on the first page, 24, 28, 29. But there's a couple things I also want you to show. That's just one thing you have to pay attention to. There's a lot of page links here, but you also notice that a lot of these, like for example, this one here, which is 1,282 page links, there's only 46 juice page links. So not very many are that authoritative. And looking at all the juice page links here, there's only one site to be kind of scared of here, which is this one. But there are other ones linking above it, and that might have to do with the content or what's on that page. And looking at that, it's just, I don't see anything that says vintage wedding rings on that particular URL or title. So that's a big mistake for that site if it wanted to actually target this particular keyword. Also, look at the Moz rank. It's relatively low to what we've seen already. The first one here is pretty high, 6.22. That's about as high as Smart Passive Income right now. But then there's a lot of them in the mid threes. Down here below for K and Zales, it's just in the one. It's below 2, and that's definitely the lowest we've seen so far. So that's why the keyword competitiveness is 26. So again, this just shows you that there's everything here you have to pay attention to, not just the numbers, but also the URL and the titles and how people are utilizing on-page SEO. And then if you're using Platinum, there's a KC or keyword competitiveness sort of column for that particular, or for these particular websites that it's showing next to. So I'm going to go back to keyword research and see if I can find anything interesting about any of these other ones that are going on. There's also one here, wedding rings for women, which is, actually has more local searches and a higher CPC at just a little higher KC than what we just looked at for vintage wedding rings. So I'm going to click on that just to sort of see what I can deduce from doing this. And, when you're first starting out, looking at this matrix, and it's going to be very confusing. And just know that I went through the same thing. And the more you do this, the more you're going to get used to it. And there's a few things that stand out here, and that is just the relatively low number of juice page links that are pointing to each of these sites. I mean, 00, 42, 03, 101. That's very low, and that just shows you that you can potentially outrank a lot of these sites here, which do have a lot of page links, but they're not very authoritative, the links that are pointing to those sites. So if you get some good links coming to your site, that's gonna mean a lot. The page authority is sort of all over the place here. You got low 30s all the way up to 73. This top one might be something to be scared of. And if you look and open up titles, you're going to see a lot more bold lettering here, which is a sign that they are utilizing on-page SEO quite a bit. The Moz rank is just sort of average, some zeros, but mostly in the 4 to 5 range. But then the page rank is relatively low. So again, this is a potential, and if you were totally into wedding rings for women and you could crush it, it might be worth getting into. But it might be also worth trying to look for other keywords that may be in the mid-20s as far as KC is concerned, or might show you, and it might be more obvious when you look at the data that there is some room there. So I'm going to go back to keyword research, and I'm going to go back to my campaign settings. I'm going to delete wedding rings, and I'm going to type in something else, and we're just going to see what comes up. Okay, so I'm going to type in a few things that are closely related to each other, and that is certification, license, board exam, and also permit. Now, these are things that people might have to potentially apply for, is what I'm getting at. And maybe that's a good one, apply for. And I'm going to click add, and I guess we'll see what comes up. Okay, so here are the results, and I've already calculated the average KC by clicking on the calculate button that was over here on the right-hand side, which took quite a bit of time because there's a lot of keywords here. As you can see on the bottom, there's over 3,500 keywords that have been sort of filtered out, and I'm seeing 133 here that meet our criteria. Now, what's cool is you can sort of sort each of these columns so you can get high, low for each of these things. So I'm doing that right now with average KC. So I'm seeing the lowest average keyword competitiveness right now keyword, which is TABC certification. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to explore it because it's already met the criteria and it shows me that it's something to pay attention to. If I didn't have Pro, I would eventually come onto this and see the following. I would see a lot of sites here that have TABC certification in the URL, which is not always a bad sign. And you can see here, this one, for example, tabccertification.com, that's almost obviously a particular niche site that someone else has created, or it's just the actual company that does this or whatever it is. But you can see here that particular website is ranking number 3, right behind a sort of government or state site, and it only has a very low page authority, very little page links, and not much going on with it. There's other ones that are about TABC permits and online TABC certification, which have relatively low page authority in the 20s, page links in the 10s and 20s, 0 juice page links. And this is why, again, the competitiveness is 23. And then, so if you were interested in this, whatever it may be, and you feel like you could build a good resource for this and create something better than what exists already, and obviously you want to go to each of these sites and also type it into Google. And actually, let's do that. Let's type this into Google, and you'll see that you'll see what happens when you type it into Google. You'll actually find that TABC is the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, and what they do is they provide permits and licenses to sell alcohol in your establishment. If I were to go to google.com and type in TABC certification, I would get an ad, which is a good sign. Not very many ads, but then I'd see the same sort of websites that were here that are in Longtail Pro. So, since this is something to do with selling alcohol and beverages, alcoholic beverages, that's not really something I would want to get into. But if, maybe you live in Texas and maybe you have a business that sells alcohol and your business is thriving because of that, I don't know. this might be a good keyword for you. But I'm going to move on, but it just shows you that there is a lot of random things out there that you might be able to find, and you'll have to see and assess whether or not that's something you want to get into. Now there's another one here with the average KC of 30, which is driver license check. I'm not even sure what that really means, but looking at the data here, I can see, relatively mid-level page authority. I mean, the top ranking site has page authority at 33, very little page links. The most page links here on this particular set of results here is 234. The Moz ranks from 0 to, the top one is 1.64. There's 1 in the 5 range, so this is a good sign that there's room here. I mean, look at the juice page links, nothing above 10. So if you wanted to rank for driver's license check, and going back here, it looks like there's 9,900 people doing local searches each month for that. I don't even know what that means exactly. Does that just information about how people check your driver's license? Maybe if you're getting carded for something, or how to make sure it's legit. I don't know, but I could see a lot of different states, Washington and Texas here. So I don't know how you might want to tackle this, or where it would come and fit into play as far as writing 50 posts about this. Maybe it's about driver's license checks in each of those 50 states, and maybe you could dominate it through that. What is the sort of, the capability of earning an income from this niche? I don't know. We'd have to do some checks in Google for that. There's also Texas teacher certification, which also has a keyword competitiveness of 30. And if you were to, the relatively low amount of local searches compared to these other ones, but a higher CPC. So it might be worth it, especially if that's something you're interested in. Maybe you're a teacher in Texas. And so you can see the Moz Rank here is relatively sort of low to mid-range. The top 5 in Google are between 1 and 4. Page links, not too bad. Page authorities, kind of mixed. And I think the on-site competitiveness you can see down here, actually a good place to start would be these sites down here in the bottom that are obviously targeting this keyword, exploring the backlinks coming to those sites, seeing how authoritative they are. You can see the juice page links for those sites aren't very authoritative at all. So it might be something to get into. And again, this is really what keyword research is all about. I'm just going to go into here and see if I get a good feeling on any of these, see where there might be room for something else that I might be interested in. Currently, any of these that I found, I'm not really interested in, so I'm going to keep going. But this is where I'm going to end the video, just to kind of show you that this isn't going to come easy. And I'm still working on finding my keyword right now. I have a few potentials. Some of the potentials that I'm really actually interested in as a topic are a lot more competitive than I want them to be, but it still may be a keyword that I want to tackle, showing that it's okay if it's a little bit competitive, as long as you could bring something new to the game. So I might end up challenging myself in that way. But we'll see what some of the other niche site duel participants end up choosing, or what niches they get into, and also the people who are going to be in the mastermind group with me too. Now, more information on the niche site duel, you can go to nichesiteduel.com to get that, and all the information to sign up, participate, and all that good stuff. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, from learning all about keyword research, all about everything that you need to look to as far as SEO competition, and then going through Longtail Pro and Longtail Platinum to speed things up a bit for you. So hopefully that helps. Thank you. Again, the affiliate link for Longtail Pro is actually smartpassiveincome.com/longtailpro. There's a 10-day free trial if you wanted to give it a shot. And yeah, I do get a commission if you go through that link, and I would, just let me know if you do, and I want to thank you personally for that, because that's awesome, and hopefully you find it valuable. So thank you, good luck, and I wish you all the best. I'll see you in video 2 in a little bit, which will probably show you how I found the exact keyword that I'm going to use, and the strategy for building a brand and creating content for it. All right, I'll check you later. Bye.